32 in MLS and 14 games to bring you. The Supporters' Shield race was edging towards its climax. Some were already making plans for the postseason, while others still had to prove their worth. And we begin our review in the East with a highly anticipated Hudson River derby.
Take it here, a chip by Elvin, and it's in! Chip by Morgan! Oh, what a terrific finish!
A place in the playoffs clinched. Could the Red Bulls keep the pressure on their fading city rivals?
Horrible ball back! What a drastic mistake for New York City!
Or would NYCFC rip up the form book?
Pereira gets his shot away, what a goal! Wow.
Commentary comes from Matt Jackson and Phil Blacker.
Morales will take the corner kick, big chance turned in already inside the first minute. Alexander Callens.
There's a straggler, isn't there? That's what catches them out. Straggler near post hurts everybody. Centre halves love that. Noddings from 5 yards or so. Most of us can manage that. What a great start for the hosts.
Johnson comes, hasn't got it. Luquinhas blocked on the line brilliantly, and then over from Cáceres. That was close.
Callens showing that experience to get back in and make a fantastic block on the line.
Maxi Morales takes this one. There's still the danger. Back in by Pereira. Where's it going to fall? Oh, it's 2-0. 2-0 NYCFC.
The best thing about this finish is how quickly he gets the shot off once he stumbles through the bodies. Fine finish, doesn't allow the goalkeeper to get set. Sim, far post, little melee. Managed to get the shot quickly before Coronel gets himself set.
Fourth of the season for Santiago Rodriguez. Red Bull's trying to undo some of the damage here, maybe. Tolkien well advanced again. There is space for the shots. And it didn't miss by much. It certainly had Sean Johnson worried. He was relieved to see that whistle just the other side of the post as the corner kick comes in. Morgan to chase after it. Turn it with Menace off the post this time, Manuel! And they're back in the game. And Elias Manuel is an MLS goal scorer.
Initial deep cross is definitely offside. Is it that touch?
The officials, or at least the VAR, has instructed Alan Chapman to look for himself.
And I think Aaron Long's offside there as he heads it. And then that also, to me, is offside as well.
That reaction will tell you the goal won't stand. Now, Lewis Morgan might be in. Manuel had time to take the touch, but maybe not time to take the second one, and then it's blazed over the bar by Caden Clark. A huge opening for the Red Bulls.
Lewis Morgan, good awareness, gets the ball out of his feet. That should be quicker, that's what allows the save to be made. He's a big presence, standing tall, the goalkeeper.
It has finished. New York City FC 2, the New York Red Bulls 0.
You know, when you have 9 defeats in 11, it can either come apart at the seams or it can build and bind you together. I think the last 4 days have shown that as a group we're going to fight for this football club, for our fans and for our badge.
One spot behind NYCFC in the East were Orlando, who'd lost here against Atlanta United just 4 days prior.
Torres comes in, shoots, it scores! Vancouver Torres!
A riposte within 9 minutes against Toronto FC, and with that, the Lions had their swagger back.
Kara, way to go! Airshot Kara into double digits in style!
this is a good time to reflect on Toronto's season. With significant changes to their roster came lofty expectations, but the conclusion to 2022 was going to be an anticlimactic one. Soon after Torres had pinged the post at the end of the first half, Lucas McNaughton sent the ball careering past his own goalkeeper at the start of the second. Oscar Pereira later described it as a complete performance by his team. And just to rub salt into TFC's open wounds, Canadian Tesho Akindele scored another for Orlando late on. It's 3 games in a row that Toronto have conceded 4 goals on a night when a playoff place went from the improbable to the impossible.
Wins over both Toronto and Orlando had kept Atlanta's playoff hopes alive, but they needed to keep the run going against Philadelphia, the side with the best defence in MLS. Jacob Klesner's proving why, an extraordinary block to deny Dom Dwyer. Gonzalo Pineda keeping it positive nonetheless, his team 2 points outside the top 7 at kickoff, and his men kept on coming. The Five Stripes carving out several chances in the second half. Edwin Mosquera's wasn't the clearest of them, but Andre Blake still had to fly to keep it out. The Eastern Conference leaders were being outplayed. Amar Sejdic was unfortunate not to break the deadlock, and Santiago Sosa couldn't take his moment either. The Union had put 4 past Atlanta less than 3 weeks before, but didn't have a shot on target this time. Instead, they relied on Blake once more as he repelled Joseph Martinez and stopped Atlanta moving closer to the playoff positions.
That Atlanta draw meant the New England Revolution could nudge their way a little closer to the top 7, and they started with intent against CF Montreal. Gustavo Bou, who doesn't have half the number of goals to his name that he managed last year, made Sebastian Breza work. But Montreal, with a playoff place already in their possession, exposed the Revs on the counter-attack.
Centers, Johnson is there, he shoots, it's 1-0. The Revs are going to be enraged. It's a great fast break.
The goal arrived 18 minutes before the end, and there could have been more for a Montreal team that had lost just once in 2 months. Romel Kyoto tested Georgi Petrovic's wingspan, and then the opening the Revs had been waiting for. Carlos Hill's vision located Giacomo Vrioni, but his end product nearly left Gillette Stadium. Most fans probably did at that point too. How's it come to this? The last year's Supporters' Shield winners.
It's a bad time of the season to fall asleep as FC Cincinnati found a way to Real Salt Lake. Michael Chang punishing some dozy defending to put RSL in front. Both teams just inside the top 7 in their respective divisions, but Cincinnati's form line was the more eye-opening. 16 matches and only 1 defeat, in part thanks to the goals of Brenner. That was 13 in 16 games for the lively Brazilian. But the orange and blue defence was still snoozing. A miserable back pass, a stonewall RSL penalty, a gift for Pablo Mastroeni. No doubting Roman Celentano had chopped down Sergio Cordova, but the young goalkeeper was fully alert as Pablo Ruiz stepped up.
Ruiz is saved! Celentano comes up huge!
Just how huge both teams will find out over the coming weeks, but in this game the penalty save was a turning point as Brenner spun and scored again to leave RSL heads spinning. They are far from perfect, but Cincinnati remain on course for a first appearance in the postseason.
Another cross-conference clash with playoff implications in both standings, and East soon led West.
Kevin Molino, 1-0 Columbus.
And a first goal for Molino in over a year after a serious knee injury last August. For Caleb Porter, this will always be a pertinent fixture. He's won MLS Cup with the Crew and the Portland Timbers, and while both clubs would expect to be in the playoffs again this year, it's far from a sure bet. Derek Etienne's disallowed goal late on turned out to be decisive. Because even later than that, and in a manner that's become the story of the Crew's season, they chucked points away at the end.
And Moreno has a chance. It's happened again. Columbus have collapsed in stoppage time.
A result which meant plenty to Portland.
The playoff hopes of both Chicago and Charlotte were hanging by a thread. The Fire knew they had to win, and Mauricio Pineda's goal inside 3 minutes was the product of an urgent start. When Chicago won in Charlotte at the start of August, the playoffs looked on the cards, and despite a dip in form since, they looked set to complete a league double.
John Duran! Well, as of late, the young Colombian cannot help himself.
It was 3 in 2 home games for Duran, but the 2-goal lead was not deterring Charlotte. Derek Jones's header off the post, the first clear sign that the MLS newcomers were not giving anything up for lost. And early in the second half, the team from the Queen City seemed to have made a first dent in Chicago's lead. But Karol Swiderski's strike was ruled out for a foul by Brant Bronico on Kendall Burks. Charlotte had reason to lose heart, but did not. The Swiderski swivel as impressive as the team's body language. At Soldier Field, Charlotte kept marching forward, with reinforcements from the bench also making their presence felt.
Flashed across, it's Santos, and it's 2-2. The substitute levels the score.
A draw was of little use to either side, but Charlotte's desire to keep pushing still spoke wonders for team spirit.
Swiderski one more time, and it's in! Charlotte have won it!
The winning goal for Charlotte in the 96th minute. Chicago's season ends here.
Oh, another character check here for this Inter Miami team.
Phil Neville's side were in must-win territory last week.
Higuain! Sliding past the goalkeeper, and Miami draw first blood. Lifted in back post, and it's the equalizing goal, Cucho Hernandez. Higuain in behind, it's Gonzalo! Gonzalo Higuain with a huge goal for Miami!
We now move on to DC, and that's another cup final for us, and we've got 4 more cup finals, and we've got to win every game.
And by the time Inter Miami faced the already eliminated DC United at Audi Field, they had the chance to move into the playoff places. David Connolly and Jonathan Beck saw this one.
Durkin, all for Benteke! That's the goal he was looking for. Christian Benteke with his first in MLS.
Well, it's really good here from Taxi Funtas, who drives with the ball, breaks into the box, sets this back. Superb cross in, wasn't it, from Durkin? In between, this splits the 2 centre-halves. And there's Benteke lurking at the back post. Excellent finish there from the big man.
It's fumbled by the goalkeeper, and then it's turned in by Campana. Back in the side and back on the score sheet.
It's a poor clearance. Campana just picks it up, shifts it onto his right foot, and then just really cleverly lifts it over Ochoa, knowing that probably Ochoa's going to dive.
Mota. Campana, it's an excellent ball, nodded down. The finish is surely there. Now it is. Sliding in, it's Campana at the double.
I tell you what, Campana does brilliantly here, because I think he could head for goal, but instead this is a really unselfish header. That's terrific for Campana. 2 goals on the night, 2 really good finishes in and around the box. That fox in the box, they've got the lead.
Rodriguez looking to fashion something that they can use, DC United. He finds... oh, it's gone in! The clearing header wasn't a bad one, but the finish was even better from Taxi Funtas. They weren't behind for long.
That's a brilliant volley, this. Fantastic from Funtas. Good ball in. Lovely lace foot volley. I think it goes through the legs of Lowe in the end. Just nestles in that bottom corner.
Gregory, all the options are on the other side. Plenty in the box if he wants to put it in there, the Brazilian. He has. Pozuelo. Oh, great work from Ochoa. Pozuelo looked favoured to go himself. He was unselfish.
Yeah, super save there from Ochoa. Might have redeemed himself for his earlier fumble.
3 minutes to go. Higuain gets the ball away. Roberto will be happy with that.
It's a good foot in though, wasn't it, from Birnbaum?
Off he goes again. Now he's got options right and left. Berry on one side. This is Miguel Berry. Crucial touch from Drake Callender.
Brilliant save here from Callender. Just looked like this was going to bend into that far corner. from Miguel Berry. That full stretch calendar. He's got his fingertips to this to turn it around the post. Oh, super save.
Latted at a Yedlin. Higuain! Finally, he gets the ball he wants. And what a huge goal that could be for Inter Miami's playoffs. Phil Neville could be thanking Gonzalo Higuain at the end of the season. It's back-to-back wins for Inter Miami. They come out on top at Audi Field by 3-2.
I don't think I've ever been as proud as my players that I was tonight. To repeatedly keep going right to the 90th minute, to score late goals, to keep going right to the end, to show the quality and commitment is phenomenal.
After the game, the league released a statement regarding an incident of alleged racial abuse by a DC player towards an Inter Miami player. In the statement, MLS said that it has zero tolerance for abusive and offensive language, and there will be a prompt investigation into the matter.
Battles within battles at Q2 Stadium as Austin took on Nashville. MVP and Golden Boot contenders went head-to-head, and Johan Valencia kicked things off in the contest for the most spectacular goal of the day. But his effort, like that of Dax McCarty for Nashville later in the second half, struck the crossbar, and it was left to the two top scorers in MLS to decide the contest. First to Nashville's leading man, who only appeared on centre stage once Daniel Lovitz had cleared brilliantly off the line. Jacob Schaffelberg launched the ball forward, and Hani Mukhtar sprang to life. Has any player been more consistently dangerous from counter-attacks this season? This one ended with a foul by John Gallagher, a penalty, and the chance for a landmark Mukhtar goal.
And here comes Hani Mukhtar, and he scores for Nashville. It's 50 in gold for the man who salutes the crowd at Q2 Stadium.
And number 23 of the season for Mukhtar. At that point, 3 clear of Austin's Sebastian Driussi, though not for long. The Verdi and Black were already assured a playoff place. Nashville's fight to join them has almost been won.
Austin's draw meant that LAFC had already secured the #1 spot in the West before they kicked off against the Houston Dynamo. A much-needed dose of confidence, you'd imagine, having won just one of their last 6 games. And they were further aided by Griffin Dorsey's tug on Dennis Bouanga inside the penalty area in the early stages.
Vela, yes! Just what the doctor ordered.
But that period of good health lasted just 16 minutes. And what hurt more for LAFC was the identity of the Houston goalscorer.
And it is level. Corey Baird against his former team. Doesn't celebrate, but you know he is inside.
Then in first half stoppage time, another penalty for the Black and Golds. The offence wasn't seen by the referee in real time, but video review helped to spot Fafa Pico's right hand making contact with the ball. And you'd imagine with his spot kicks that at least 60% of the time, Vela scores every time. Someone else who loves a goal is Ryan Hollingshead. He already had 5 in his first season with LAFC, and all of them had come here.
Hollingshead! Oh, yes! Top drawer!
And the top seeds perhaps returning to their flashy best ahead of the postseason.
Minnesota United occupied 5th in the West despite going 4 games without winning, and their luck wasn't changing in Kansas City. Michael Boxall's own goal, provoked by SKC's tormentor-in-chief, Johnny Russell. Russell has had more support in that role in the second half of the season, though it had come too late to salvage a playoff place. The tireless Scot setting up Eric Tommy.
Now Tommy will have a go, fakes the shot, fires it in! Oh, Tommy boy!
And the SKC attack has also been energised by the mid-season arrival of Willie Agada.
And Sweat on the left-hand side again. And he finds Agada, who powers it home! This is domination!
SKC were well on track to make it 5 straight home wins. Their first MLS goal from Mender Garcia brought a moment of joy to Minnesota's summer signing. But it didn't affect the outcome, and on the day he turned 23, Agada had the final word.
And this one slotted in by Agada. A birthday brace.
This was a significant fixture for the LA Galaxy and the Colorado Rapids. Both were sat just outside of the playoffs and with a single point between them. But Gaston Brugman's goal hinted that it wasn't going to be as tense as previously billed. That was the first of 3 goals in 9 first-half minutes, and all of them for the hosts.
Edwards trying to turn the corner. He'll slow it up a bit. Has some support with Grandsir. Puts it on his right. Onto his left. Has a goal.
Raheem Edwards hadn't scored in MLS for 3.5 years. It's rare for 3.5 weeks to pass without Chicharito getting a goal, but even by his standards, this was special. And the Colorado capitulation continued straight after the restart.
Brugman drops into the hole. A lot of space here. They're taking the advantage. Score! His second of the game!
Those in Carson were treated to both glorious flair and one petulant flare-up. Douglas Costa lost his cool. Having barged Michael Barrios over, he then pushed his hand into the face of Felipe Gutierrez. The latter of those 2 incidents didn't go unnoticed, as the Brazilian was sent off for the second time in less than 3 months. His saving grace was that the Galaxy's lead would only be dented rather than destroyed in the minutes that remained. Sam Nicholson scored in stoppage time, but Colorado's top 7 hopes are all but over, while the result also eliminated SKC.
Vancouver had kept their playoff hopes alive with a 3-0 win over the Galaxy in the week. And when Pedro Vite put them in front against Seattle, the Whitecaps were on track for back-to-back wins at a crucial stage of the campaign. More than that, they hadn't beaten their near neighbours from across the border in 15 attempts.
Gressel on the volley! Julian Gressel! And it's a 2-goal first half for Vancouver.
In the second, they were millimetres from putting the Sounders away. Brian White's effort looked to have crossed the line. The jets of celebratory white smoke were released, but the officials said no. Stefan Fry had kept it out. Vanni Sartini said his Vancouver team could have won 4-0. Leonard Owusu hit a post. Brian Schmetzer cut a frustrated figure. Seattle can still make the playoffs, but Will Bruin's header was too little too late in this one. Their struggles are part of the celebrations that rang round BC Place at full time.
To our final game, and with the possibility of FC Dallas becoming the latest team to make the postseason, their cause was aided by a chunky deflection off San Jose fullback Tanner Beeson, though it still went down as Hader Obrian's goal, and he'd not scored in MLS since the opening weekend, so he wasn't going to let this one go. The already eliminated San Jose Earthquakes still need a purpose in these closing weeks of the regular season, and ensuring they aren't the ones propping everyone else up in the West is target enough. They were given the chance to bite back almost immediately after Cade Cowell's shot was deemed to have struck a hand inside the box, and that was Jeremy Ebobisi's 16th goal of the season, a figure that sits in stark contrast to San Jose's underwhelming year. Paul Marie was unfortunate not to top up his own far more modest total before the break for a Quakes team that will be guided next season by the former Dallas coach Luchi Gonzalez. He'll assume the role once his commitments as assistant coach with the US national team are over after the World Cup. But no doubt he would have been keeping an eye on some commendable San Jose defending and an indiscretion from a player that he might be working with in Qatar. Paul Arriola was sent off for violent conduct with 7 minutes to go after swinging his arm at Jamiro Montero. But the 10 men held on for an important draw.
So a point was enough for Dallas to join Austin in the playoffs, with LAFC now confirmed as the West's #1 seed. SKC were eliminated as the LA Galaxy took 7th place from RSL.
In the East, Toronto and the Chicago Fire have also been eliminated, Inter Miami climbed into the playoffs with the Columbus Crew dropping out. The Philadelphia Union are level on points with LAFC in the Supporters' Shield race.
As two teams made a timely move into the top 7.
Higuain! And what a huge goal that could be.
We leave you with two MVP candidates going blow for blow.
And here comes Hani Muhtar, scores for Nashville, and he's marching on to the MVP. It's Drusi, he responds. He's not done yet.
This copyrighted broadcast of Major League Soccer may not be retransmitted, reproduced, or rebroadcast without the express written consent of Major League Soccer.